Caribbean food systems are vulnerable to exogenous shocks. This is a fact. Our country's unique geographical location, as well as our social, environmental, and economic challenges, makes our food systems highly vulnerable to shocks such as pandemics, wars, and climate change. Agriculture remains an important sector for Caribbean countries. In 2022, it contributed to 20% of Haiti's GDP, 13.5% of Guyana's GDP, and 8.8% to Jamaica's GDP. However, much of the data points to the fact that the CARICOM region is operating below its potential to feed itself, making us one of the most food-dependent regions in the world. Presently, our food import bill is estimated at over $5 billion annually. To that extent, therefore, CARICOM has been implementing a plan to reduce the food import bill by 25% by the year 2025. In a similar vein, the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States has also approved a food and agriculture systems transformation strategy for that sub-region. The region's reliance on rain-fed agriculture, low productivity, animal and plant pests and diseases, increased frequency and intensity of natural hazards and climate variability and extremes continue to undermine the achievement of some of these food security targets. Some CARICOM member states are also among those categorized as most water scarce globally, and worse yet, some models are projecting a 20 to 30% decrease in precipitation by the year 2100 and more frequent droughts. The Caribbean also lies in the Atlantic hurricane belt, making us highly susceptible to the devastating damage that these storms often leave behind. It takes but only one serious storm to wipe out decades of progress. Scientific evidence has also confirmed that climate change is amplifying hydromet events such as flooding, droughts, and hurricanes in the Caribbean. These are having disastrous impacts on our food systems and ability to sustainably feed ourselves, and directly jeopardizing the lives and livelihoods of people who are most dependent on these productive sectors. Over the last decade, we have been experiencing firsthand how climate extremes have been negatively impacting food production and productivity. Consequently, consumers too have been affected with the heightened increase in food prices. Between May and August 2023, the Caribbean experienced record-breaking temperatures, driven mainly by an El Niño event. As a result, water stress conditions have affected food production, availability and accessibility, worker productivity and income. Around mid-May 2021, Guyana experienced above normal rainfall, which led to the worst flooding that country experienced in 20 years. Approximately 52,000 households, 74,000 acres of farmlands, and over 20,000 farmers were affected. In 2017, Hurricane Maria left Dominica devastated. According to the post-disaster needs assessment at that time, the agricultural sector, which employed approximately 25% of the population, suffered $55 million in losses and $124 million in damages. And between 2014 and 2015, Jamaica experienced one of the worst seasons of drought in recent history. According to reports, annual agricultural production declined by 30% from 2013 to 2014. This, along with bushfires, resulted in a $6.5 million loss for the economy. Climate change, among other factors, are also exacerbating biodiversity loss in the Caribbean. Biodiversity conservation and protection are critical to supporting food security and economic development in the Caribbean, which is a biodiversity hotspot. The signing of the Declaration on Sustainable Agriculture, Resilient Food Systems, and Climate Action coming out of COP28 is welcomed. It is a strong endorsement of countries' commitment to integrate food and agriculture in their climate plans. This will, of course, safeguard the livelihoods of farmers, the environment, and contribute to food security. The landmark loss and damage deal is also significant, as it will help the poorest and most vulnerable countries to pay for the irreversible damage caused by climate. But regional stakeholders must really urgently rethink the way we produce and consume food. Resilience must be the bedrock upon which repositioning the sector is built on. It is clear that greater investment is needed to develop scalable, innovative solutions and climate-smart strategies. This will help the vulnerable countries in the region to bolster their resilience and adaptation to the impacts of a changing climate. And what are the key elements of the system we keep speaking about? One, you must have consistent, accurate, real-time data. This includes market data, production data, soil data, farmers data, climate and weather data. You need data to really plan properly. Without data, you're basically shooting aimlessly in the dark. You need active participation of all stakeholders. This will include linkages between different ministries. The Ministry of Agriculture must be speaking to the Ministry of Health, speaking to the Ministry of Tourism, Ministry of the Environment, and so on. It requires a multidisciplinary effort. What we eat has a direct impact on our health. The number of tourists visiting the region will inform production plans and so on. We cannot be feeding tourists on extra-regional imports. We also need to look at the CARICOM region as a whole. We have to encourage and facilitate cross-border investments. Most of our countries in the region are simply too small to really be totally self-sufficient when it comes to food. We have countries with large land masses, we have countries with low energy costs, and so on. We need to work together to develop a system in which all states in the region benefit. We need to develop a production plan with adequate monitoring and evaluation systems. In terms of fisheries, we have to address issues relating to overexploitation, pollution, and coastal erosion. We need to provide an enabling environment in terms of policies which encourage participation of producers and fisher folks, review incentives, removal of trade barriers. We need an aggressive R&D program towards developing resilient, cost-effective, profitable, versatile, climate-resilient agri-food systems using cutting-edge technology and innovation. R&D drives and underpins transformation towards building resilience, addressing challenges, for example, water, insurance, soils, knowledge transfer. If it doesn't make economic sense, then it is likely no one will adopt it. We need to have campaigns to encourage eating the right foods, to develop the right tastes, and therefore markets. Individuals need to make the right choice when it comes to eating. If there's no market, then no one will produce. There's need for an official intra-regional transportation system at a reasonable cost. This, of course, will facilitate trade and ease of movement of materials, goods, and services. There's need to develop agro-processing systems to add value, reduce waste, utilize excess produce. There's need for access to financing and capital. We need to establish a digital agriculture strategy, and when we speak about this, we are speaking of e-platforms to facilitate data collection, buying and selling, precision agriculture, drone technology, remote sensing, virtual extension to facilitate knowledge sharing, and so on. If we adopt these measures, we will truly transform food systems in this region. CARDI is committed to providing the science-based solutions to lead this transformation and reposition the sector. Together we can work together to build productive, sustainable, competitive, and resilient food systems. I thank you.